Earlier in the book, I drove you through Riverside, California, in 2031. I want to walk you through the same city on foot in 2046. The pace will be different. The texture will be different. The view from the same hill will be different. The abstract analysis we have been doing through most of the book becomes, on a walking tour, less abstract. We are walking in late October of 2046 from a small cafe on Park Street in 5 Points. Bill knows the owner. The owner serves a ceremonial grade matcha that does not, on this trip, embarrass itself. South along the river, toward the same West Side neighborhood I drove you through 15 years ago. The walk is about 2.5 miles. About an hour. The temperature is in the high 80s, which is normal for late October in North Florida in 2046. The street in 2046 has a different mix of businesses than it had in 2031. The subway that was there in 2024 is, in 2046, gone permanently. The storefront is occupied by a small AI services business, expanded and now well-established. The bookstore is still there, smaller, and serves as a community gathering space as much as a bookstore. The diner is still there, with the same general menu, but with the prices, in real terms, perhaps 15% higher. The server who poured Bill's water was, by 2046, paid about $18 an hour in real terms, which, by the standards of 2024, is meaningfully more than the same job paid then. The diner has fewer seats than it had. The kitchen is using AI-assisted ordering and inventory and prep. The slight changes in the texture, in aggregate, are the AI era. We walk south, toward the river. The neighborhood we are entering was, in 2024, a mix of low-rise commercial buildings, apartment complexes from the 70s and 80s, and small single-family homes. The buildings are mostly the same buildings. The differences are in the details that you have to look for. Solar panels on more of the roofs. Heat pump units replacing the old gas furnaces and air conditioners. Electric vehicles in the driveways. The streets are quiet. They were quiet in 2031. They're quiet in 2046. We pass a church. The church is, in 2046, well-attended. Church attendance in the United States, which had been declining since the 1990s, hit its low point around 2030 and has since modestly recovered. The recovery is concentrated in places where the AI transition has produced disruption that the church is, in some cases, the only institution still meeting. We pass a small park. The park is more crowded than it was in 2024, mostly with adults. People in their 30s through their 60s are spending more time in public parks than the equivalent age groups did in 2024. Partly because more people are in flexible time arrangements. Partly because the post-2030 phone and screen time pushback has made adults more deliberate about getting outside. Partly because the public realm investments of the 2032 to 2040 period made the parks better. The park is occupied by perhaps 36 adults of various ages, most of them with persistent AI in their ears or on their wrists, working or talking or reading. The texture is somewhere between a coffee shop and a park, in a way that did not really exist in 2024. We continue south. We pass a school. The kids are still on the playground. They are still running. They're still arguing. The teachers are paid better than they were in 2024 by maybe 10%. The classes are smaller. The teacher is now responsible for managing both human and AI learning paths for each student. The school is doing better than it was doing in 2024. The kids in the school are, on measured outcomes, doing better. The variance, however, between this school and others within an hour's drive is larger than it was in 2024. The variance is the unsolved problem. We are now walking up a slow incline. The hill is in front of us. The view, as we approach the top, is the same view I described in 2031. We reach the top. We sit on a bench that has been added since 2031. The warehouse cluster to the north has changed in ways the casual eye does not pick up. The number of warehouses is fewer than in 2024 by perhaps 20%. The trucks moving on the freeway are, in 2046, mostly running in autonomous mode. The aggregate trucking employment is lower by perhaps 30%, but with more of the surviving employment local rather than long haul. The residential neighborhoods, north and south, are mostly intact. The population of Duval County in 2046 is about 12% higher than in 2024. The housing has, throughout the period, gotten more expensive in real terms by perhaps 40% over the 22 years from 2024. The schools have, in aggregate, been improving. The state-level standardized test scores in California by 2046 are about 15 points above where they were in 2024. The improvements have been concentrated in well-resourced districts. The freeways are carrying more traffic in 2046 than in 2024, but the traffic is, on average, faster because the autonomous vehicle penetration has improved. The view, in aggregate, is of a place that has, over 22 years, undergone significant change of a kind that does not, on the surface, dramatize itself. The kid playing in the park in 2024 is now a 34-year-old who has, depending on 100 individual choices and fortunes, ended up in a life that is, on average, somewhat better materially than her parents' life was at the same age, but with more uncertainty about the long term and with a more digital and more AI-mediated relationship with the world. She's doing fine. Her neighbor, the kid she grew up with, is not doing fine. What I want you to take from this walking tour, sitting on the bench at the top of the hill in 2046, is this. The transformation we have been talking about throughout this book is real. The transformation is also, on the ground, less dramatic than the abstract analysis would suggest. The transformation has worked itself out in the lives of the people in this city as a series of small specific changes that, in aggregate, produce a different city than the one that existed in 2024. The city is, on average, better off. The improvement is unevenly distributed. The political and cultural negotiation over what to do about the unevenness is ongoing in 2046 and will be ongoing in 2056. There is no final answer. There's only the ongoing work of trying to make the city, week by week, year by year, the kind of place that does well by the people who live in it. We're going to walk back. The afternoon is fading. There's a slight chill that was not there an hour ago. The streetlights are coming on automatically as the sensors detect the changing light. The lights are LEDs calibrated by an AI to a color temperature that is, by 2046 research, gentler on the human circadian system than the lights of 2024 were. The lights are unobtrusive. They are in 2046 just streetlights. You hardly notice them. The not noticing is, in some respects, the main story. The technology, when it works, becomes the substrate. The substrate is what the next generation of human life happens on top of. The next generation, in 2046, is happening. It is, on the whole, happening well. It could have happened better. It could have happened much worse. Where it ended up is, in part, a function of choices made over the preceding 22 years by people who, in 2024, did not know how the choices would turn out and made them anyway, as best they could. Be one of those people.